Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining into the Boiler Room, where we find the best stocks of the day each and every day, or at least we hope to, right? So, seconds here, wait for some people to crawl out of their beds, get on the computer, and get going. All right, 1 second here. Morning, morning, yo, morning. Alrighty, yeah. So I'm excited too for the new chat to be up and perfect, with all the little bugs all taken care of. Super excited for that, right? So, with no further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys. Today I have a few plays. We got there might be more than few, but we have a few longs and a few shorts. So I know some of you go long, some of you go short. So we're just mixing it up here. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen, and we are going to get cracking at it. So, again, always find the value in each and every one of these stocks that I mentioned, and make sure you have an educated decision prior to purchasing any of these stocks. So that way you have a game plan going into it, and you're not getting caught off guard. So, the first one we're going to look at on watch is MNKD. Pre-market, let's talk about the daily. All right, as we can see on the daily chart, MNKD has been having some phenomenal couple days, maybe the phenomenal past week, right? So MNKD, phenomenal past week. Continuously grinding higher. Recently just experienced a pullback and some shorts kind of shorted it down. But this makes sense, right? Look in this area, right? Right in this area, little, what do you want to call it, little box area? As you can see, the stock pulled down to an area of support. It's pulled down to the 9 moving average. Starting to jump up. Chances are because we're bouncing off support and we're trying to run again. So that is primarily why I'm keeping MNKD on watch, is because it's had a great move. And it just experienced a pullback, and now we're in an area of support where we could potentially see the stock take off again. Come down into the 1-day, 1-minute chart, and let me delete these drawings. Yeah, so we take a look at these drawings real quick, and let me change the time frame over. A lot of drawings going on in here. 1 second. So if we look at this right here, we're hitting resistance somewhere in this area. Oh, wrong drawing again. Jeez. All right, so we got resistance here in this area pre-market, but the overall trend, it just pulled back. So right now it's attempting to put in its first low pre-market, MNKD. So once it actually puts in its first low and then makes a new high, we're going to have a trend here. We don't have anything. But again, like I said, it's pretty clear. It's pretty obvious. Maybe not for some people, but by looking at the daily chart, I mean, if we just hop back here real quick and look at our daily chart, we will realize that MNKD just experienced a substantial pullback down to the 9-day moving average. Right, this is an area of support. We could potentially see the stock run again. It's already making moves pre-market. I would suggest keeping it on your watch list for today. From Sweden, good morning to you as well. Or, well, good afternoon. Good morning for me, good afternoon for you, right? So MNKD is on watch. MNKD has a, where'd it go? Although it is on watch, it does have a higher float. It has a float of about 40 million. Its volume today was, or is, about 200,000 shares of volume pre-market. Its price is $5.55. Gap 7 cents, and that's a 5% gap. That's a daily chart. All right, so moving on to our next one is LBIX. In some, I'll make sure that I get to some new ones if they pop up. All right, so LBIX really is most valid to look at on the, hold on. All right, so let's take a look here, LBIX. So as we know, LBIX had this monster day on Friday, then it came crashing down quite as low, and it put in a new low trend, right? We have this trend that I drew here. Here's the overall trend right now for the past couple days. So we have a valid trend pre-market, right? If we come into pre-market trading, it has not really, it's almost done it, all right? It's attempting to put in a new low and bounce back. So right now we're waiting for the low before we have a confirmed trend. But I feel that based on the move we had Friday, the pre-market movement thus today, considering it's a 2.3 million share float, it's got 350,000 shares of volume pre-market today. Good chance of popping and running today. I have a strong conviction we're going to see some movement out of LBIX today. So I would suggest just keeping it on your radar. And 2.39 million share float. Sorry, volume for today was 357,000. The gap is 43 cents. There is 18.9%. Yep. So William, we will take a look at XXII. We had in the chat room here, we had XXII on watch since last night. We had it on watch from last night, but of course we couldn't really capture the move because it was made pre-market. So I'll take a look at XXII real fast and give you guys the rundown. Alrighty. So if you actually want to see my chart, I don't know if you guys can see, you know, all of this, but let me try and. So anyways, have a bunch of these notes on here. I'm going to go ahead and delete them off. This is basically some of the notes I made for the watch list. Anyways, let's go over this stuff. Hold on. All right, you guys want to hear the analyzation of this stock? All right, we have our low point here. Our low point, we take a trend line, we draw it up, we follow the low points from that trend line up. And as you can see, the stock is tending to follow that trend line that I have drawn out right there. We're not done. We take our trend line from this high point down here, we draw it up, and as you can see, the stock is following resistance trend line. So now we're trading in an upward channel or maybe even upward wedge, depending on how you see it. Trading in a channel, pretty obvious. All right. Now, if we were to go judge based on what this daily chart is giving us, we're going to have a potential bottom bounce support area right here where this flat line is. But an overall support is this upward directional trend line. So ideally, what's happening right now is we're seeing it bounce off this trend line. It's got good news. It's bouncing off the trend line, and now it's ripping up. This was the entry point that I alerted or tried to really alert, but the move happened pre-market. We can look to get in around the 280s, 290s. It's fully confirmed, and we see some green candles on the daily. Then we can hop in for a swing trade. But unfortunately, that move happened pre-market for us. Essentially, we have a target price of 350 first, which is up here. We can see this price 50 kind of fumble around, hit some resistance, and then it could drop back down in this trend before popping out to the upside or the downside. So that's really it, right? We have this overall trend. If the stock moves to 350, hits resistance and comes down, chances are it'll come back down to this trend line, find support, move back up, and then it'll get squeezed into this little triangle pattern. Then we'll see a pop to the upside, and then our next resistance would be the upward trend line support, which is going to be somewhere in the 380s, 370s. Let's see. Oh, man. And also, yes, I forgot to mention, XXII has news. I believe they had a price target of like $11 or something. Was it $11? $11.50. XXII, little penny stock, a little got it got a price target of $11.50. Some more information on XXII. It has a its float is 84 million. It is a bigger float company. Although it runs, it doesn't jump astronomically fast. It does, but not astronomically. Volume today, 12,000 shares of volume. The percent gap is 11.8% as of right now. In gap is 33 cents. Okay, so that is XXII. Baby, let's go to the next one. Now we're gonna get into two higher price stocks for potential shorts. PVG. All right, guys, we're looking at PVG here. All right, do you see anything? Do you guys notice? Or why would I like this as a short play? What interests me for this being a short? Well, I mean, if you look back here in time, right, when the stock was overextended from the 9 moving average, it pulled back pretty hard. But that wasn't nearly as big as a gap as this one. What does this remind you of? Does this not remind you of the stock HMNY before it dropped really hard to the 9 moving average all the way down here? So as you can see, the 9 moving averages all the way down here, on PVG, were very extended. We had a extremely obvious doji candle that broke the previous low of the day on the doji. This could be a great short today, potential for 50, 60, even $1 short. So this is going to be on heavy watch today for a short. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? I don't have the background information on PVG. I do apologize, but you can look it up on FinViz. Going on to the next one real fast. I mean, that's basically it. PVG, here's the daily chart. We could look at the 1-minute chart if we need, but, you know, as you can see, PVG. It looks pretty weak, right? I mean, if you look at the chart, it looks very weak. It's consolidating sideways, and it just looks like it's losing that momentum to the upside, and it looks like it's just going to fall off the face of the earth here pretty soon. So definitely on a high watch list for a short. Next one we have on watch is EXEL. Oh, so EXEL was on short, and as you can see, look what happened. EXEL was on a short watch list. Look what happened. It completely is falling apart right now. If we look at a daily chart, look at the daily chart, you will see that 950 area, it had massive resistance before just dropping off the face of the earth. Price is at $30. It gapped to $30 this morning, right? Gap to $30, and so chances are this thing is going to fall off the face of the earth today. And EXEL is on heavy watch. EXEL is a very big float. It is a 287 million share float, 730,000 shares of volume traded pre-market. Gap was 19%, or sorry, 16%. The total dollar value of the gap up was $4 and some odd 13 cents. Okay, let's see. What do we got? RT. What is this? Could be interesting, but probably not. Maybe. Can't cut her out just yet. Hold on, something popped up on my scanner. Let's see if it's any good. So it looks like there's some news today that Ruby Tuesday reports Ruby Tuesday to be acquired. Could be good. That's some good news. They could be acquired. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm really going to keep my sights on something else. Let's see. What's LBIX doing? All right. So LBIX has put in that low, but again, it put in high. So it's looking a little weak right now. We're just going to have to keep it on watch and see how it performs here. What can you expect when we when a firm sets a new price target on a stock? Honestly, Gruder, I've seen stocks get new price targets and do absolutely nothing. I think a lot of times what I see with new price targets is like the initial hype pushes the stock up a little bit. Momentum finally dies down and then it kind of fades and then it kind of picks back up and it slowly is valid and they really are worth the price target. They usually tend to get there, not all the time. They're all the time, but usually what happens is the hype builds up initially and we'll see them move and we'll get some price movement out of them and then they'll slowly kind of die off a little bit less, you know, they're not on people's radar as often, but they tend to make that initial move up. What's going on, everybody? Alrighty, so let me just run through my through some down gappers. I know it seems crazy, but I'm gonna run through some down gappers here for about maybe the next 5-10 minutes, and then I'm gonna hop off here. OREX is down gapping. Find something good here. Ooh. Yeah, you can keep TGTX on watch. This is a down gapper. Right now, it looks pretty weak. It actually looks like it's kind of become setting up for another short play here down to like the $8 mark. TGTX on watch, a recent gap down near some support areas. You could find a good entry. TRXC, I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. No, TRXC looks like trash. Not look good. Right. The move happened after hours, right? Move happened after hours pre-market. This thing looks very weak and there is really no news to back the move. I wouldn't even touch it. I wouldn't mess with it. AEZS. ES is very, very weak. Any volume here right now? I wouldn't really mess around it. Well, it is putting in higher lows consistently, so it might be worth keeping it on watch just because it is showing an uptrend, but I don't know how I feel about it. It's still a little sketchy. So yeah, HHIQ was on my scanners this morning on my gaps. I just don't use on, to be honest with you. Let's see. Yeah, there is some news on that. The insurance stocks look like winners as Trump whacks at Obamacare. That's true. That is definitely true. If that makes sense, if HHIQ has anything to do with, if they're like an insurance company, with the repeal of Obamacare, insurance companies will do much better. The action set in place with, you could call it Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act, the rules and implementations of that program has insurance companies to really suffer and go out of business. So I don't know what Trump has planned, but if it repeals some of the way that things are done with the Affordable Health Care Act right now, then insurance companies should thrive a little bit better and have a better chance without going bankrupt, really. Good news for insurance companies. That makes sense. Let's see. HHIQ on watch. That seems like pretty strong news. It is gapped up quite a bit from $18 to $22. That's a $4 gap. Right now, we're trying to make those new highs. So just keep it on watch. Be careful, okay, guys? We're at right now. So that was a quick morning. Again, today is a launch and first day in the new program and new site for the live trading room. So I got to make sure things are running pretty properly there. Get back over to there, get my screen share and everything going. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in this morning. If that's something that you want to join into, maybe after you hear the good news about it, you just want some reassurance or whatever, whatever the case may be. The link will always be in the description below. But as always, I will always be here every single morning for the pre-market live stream. They might just be a little bit more sped up just because I have some other things to, work on these mornings as well now, just more things to handle, right? So MNKD on watch for potential long. If LBIX holds up, on watch for potential long. L, watch it for a short. PVG, watch it for a short. And then HIQ could be a potential long over 22, but be careful. It is a $4 gap, so that's a pretty big gap. You honestly could see it get shorted. If you look, LBIX right now is starting to pop off, all right? So keep it on watch, all right, guys? That's really all I have for you. Where is the login button on the new site? Like when you actually sign, like when you go to the website, that's when you should initially have to log in. Or, oh, I think I know what you're saying. Right, so if you follow my link to the site, then I think you actually have to subscribe first, and then I believe it'll have you create an account. I think that's how it works. Still very new. And so I think you actually go to my link first, it'll bring you to my page, and then you hit subscribe, and then it'll probably walk you through signing up and putting in some of your information, okay? All right, so I'll catch you guys in the boiler room.